My boyfriend was involved in illegal activities and a paid arrangement I never knew about until I found his phone. I'm 26F and I'm writing this from a hotel room because I left my apartment 2 days ago and I don't know where else to turn. My boyfriend's name is Tyler and we've been together for 2 years, living together for the past 9 months in a nice apartment in Charlotte. Tyler is 29, he told me he works in sales for a pharmaceutical distribution company. I'm a paralegal at a mid-sized law firm making around $52,000 a year. Our relationship seemed perfect, he was attentive and generous, we traveled together, he always picked up the check at dinners, he bought me thoughtful gifts. I never questioned where his money came from because he had a job and seemed successful. About 3 weeks ago Tyler started acting different, he was more secretive with his phone, he'd leave the room to take calls, he seemed anxious. I asked him if everything was okay, he claimed work was stressful, that his company was going through restructuring. I believed him. Last Tuesday I came home from work around 6:30, Tyler wasn't home which was unusual because he's usually back by 5. I noticed his phone on the kitchen counter, he'd left it behind. I know looking through someone's phone is a violation of privacy but something felt off and I couldn't ignore my gut. I picked it up, it didn't have a passcode on the lock screen but when I opened it I saw it was logged into apps I didn't recognize. One was called Signal, I'd heard of it but Tyler had never mentioned using it. I opened the app and saw multiple conversation threads. The first one I clicked on was with someone named Dimitri, the messages went back 6 months. Dimitri was asking Tyler about shipment schedules, quantities, prices per unit. Tyler was responding with details about deliveries, pickup locations, drop times. I scrolled up and saw them discussing payment. Tyler had sent a message saying he'd received $45,000 for the last month's work. $45,000. I felt my heart racing. I kept reading. Dimitri mentioned that the pills were moving fast in the Raleigh area, that they needed to expand to Wilmington. Pills. I clicked on another conversation thread, this one with someone named Marcus. Marcus was asking Tyler to confirm a delivery address. Tyler sent back a location with specific instructions about leaving packages in a storage unit. There were also messages about avoiding certain routes, about what to say if stopped by police. I felt sick. I opened another thread, this one with a contact saved as just a phone number. The messages were different, more personal. This person was asking Tyler when he'd be available. Tyler was responding with dates and times. Then I saw a message from 2 weeks ago. The person asked how much for overnight. Tyler responded $2,000. I scrolled further and saw explicit messages. This person sending photos. Tyler responding. I realized what I was looking at. Tyler wasn't just involved in something illegal. He was also seeing someone and getting paid for it. I felt like I couldn't breathe. I kept scrolling through his phone. I found his banking app. He had 3 different accounts. One was a regular checking account with about $12,000. Another was a savings account with $98,000. $98,000. The third account was labeled as business. It had transactions going in and out, deposits of $20,000, $35,000, $18,000, all within the past 4 months. I took screenshots of everything and sent them to my email. Then I heard keys in the door. Tyler walked in. He saw me holding his phone. His face went pale. He demanded to know what I was doing with his phone. I told him I could ask him the same question, holding up the phone and asking him to explain what I'd just read. He tried to grab the phone from me but I stepped back. I confronted him about selling drugs and sleeping with people for money. He went quiet. I asked how long this had been going on. He claimed it was complicated, that I wouldn't understand. I told him to try me. He told me to sit down but I stayed standing. He admitted he'd started working with Dimitri about 8 months ago, that it was supposed to be a one-time thing to make extra money. He said Dimitri paid well and the work was easy, just picking up packages and delivering them to different locations. He claimed he didn't ask questions at first. I pointed out that he clearly knew what he was doing. He admitted that eventually yes, he understood. When I asked about the other arrangement, the paid meetings, he looked uncomfortable. He admitted that started about 5 months ago, that someone had approached him at a bar, that they'd offered him money. He claimed it was just a few times, that it meant nothing. I asked how much he'd made total. He didn't answer. I told him I saw his bank accounts, that he had almost $100,000 saved. He claimed he was planning to stop, that he was going to get out soon. I asked if he was in danger. He said no, that he was careful, that Dimitri trusted him. I told him this was insane, that he'd been lying to me for our entire relationship. He tried to defend himself, saying he did it for us, for our future. I asked if he'd ever considered what would happen if he got arrested, if I could be implicated because we lived together. He hadn't considered that. I told him I couldn't do this, that I was leaving. He begged me to stay, saying he loved me, that he would stop immediately. I packed a bag while he followed me around the apartment pleading. I told him I needed space, that I couldn't look at him right now. He tried to block the door but I pushed past him. I drove to a hotel downtown and checked in. That was 2 days ago. He's been calling and texting constantly. He says he'll quit everything, that he'll get a normal job, that we can start over. I don't know what to do. Part of me still loves him, part of me is terrified. I have the screenshots, I have evidence of illegal activity. Do I report him to the police? Do I walk away and never look back? My mind is racing and I can't sleep. Update, 3 weeks later. I'm updating because things have escalated dramatically and I need to document what's happened. After my original post, I stayed at the hotel for 4 more days. Tyler kept calling and texting, promising to change, begging me to come home. On the 5th day, I went back to the apartment to get more of my things. I went while Tyler was at work. When I walked in, I noticed immediately that something was different. The living room had new furniture, an expensive-looking leather couch that hadn't been there before, a large flat-screen television mounted on the wall. I went into our bedroom and saw new clothes in Tyler's closet, designer labels, things he would never normally buy. On his nightstand was a watch that looked expensive. I later looked it up online and it retails for over $8,000. He'd clearly been spending money freely since I left. So much for quitting immediately. I packed more of my clothes and personal items. I was in the bedroom when I heard the front door open. Tyler came home early. He saw me and immediately started apologizing, saying he'd been trying to reach me, that he missed me. I pointed to the new furniture and asked where he got the money. He claimed he'd gotten a bonus from work. I reminded him that I knew about his other activities. He admitted he'd taken one last job with Dimitri, that he needed the money to show me he could provide for us. I told him I didn't want money obtained illegally. He got defensive, saying I was being judgmental, that everyone takes shortcuts sometimes. I asked if he was still seeing people for money. He said no, that had stopped. I didn't believe him. I finished packing and told him I was going to my sister's place in Asheville. He begged me not to leave, saying he would get rid of everything, that he'd prove he could change. I left and drove straight to my sister's house. My sister Natalie is 3 years older than me. She's married with 2 kids. They have a guest room where I've been staying. I showed Natalie the screenshots I'd taken. She was horrified. She said I needed to protect myself legally, that if Tyler got arrested I could be implicated because we lived together and shared finances. We have a joint checking account for household expenses, about $3,000 in it. Natalie recommended I talk to a lawyer. The next day I contacted a criminal defense attorney named Mr. Chin. He advised me to document everything, to separate my finances from Tyler immediately, and to consider making a report to the police to establish that I had no knowledge of his activities. He said without proof that I was unaware, I could potentially face charges related to money laundering or conspiracy. I was shocked. I hadn't realized how much legal trouble I could be in. I went to the bank and closed our joint account, transferring my half to my personal account. I changed all my passwords, removed Tyler as an emergency contact from everything, started the process of separating our lives. Tyler kept calling, leaving voicemails saying he was worried about me, that he wanted to know where I was. I didn't respond. A week after I arrived at Natalie's, I got a call from an unknown number. It was a detective from the Charlotte Police Department. He said his name was Detective Miller. He asked if I had a few minutes to talk. He said it was about Tyler. My heart started pounding. I agreed to meet him at a coffee shop near Natalie's house. Detective Miller explained that Tyler was under investigation for drug distribution, that they'd been watching him for several months. He said they had evidence linking him to an organization operating in multiple states. He asked if I knew anything about Tyler's activities. I didn't know what to say. I was terrified. He said if I had information and came forward voluntarily, it would help establish that I wasn't involved. I thought about the screenshots on my phone. I asked if I could have my lawyer present. He said of course. The next day Mr. Chin met with Detective Miller and me. I showed them the screenshots I'd taken from Tyler's phone. Detective Miller said this was very helpful, that it corroborated other evidence they had. He asked if I would be willing to make a formal statement. I agreed. After the meeting Mr. Chin told me I'd probably done the right thing, that it would protect me legally. I felt sick to my stomach. I was betraying someone I loved, but I knew it was necessary for my own protection. That was 2 days ago. This morning Tyler called me from a number I didn't recognize. I answered thinking it might be important. He sounded panicked. He said the police had searched his apartment, that they'd taken his computers and phones. He asked if I knew anything about it. I didn't say anything. He said they mentioned they had evidence from his phone, that someone must have given them access. He asked if it was me. I still didn't speak. He said he couldn't believe I would do this to him, that he loved me. I told him I had to protect myself, that he'd put me in danger. He hung up on me. I'm sitting in Natalie's guest room writing this. My hands are shaking. I don't know what happens next, whether Tyler will be arrested, whether I'll need to testify. Mr. Chin says I'll likely be called as a witness if this goes to trial. I never imagined my life would come to this. Final update, 5 months later. I'm writing this final update from my new apartment in Asheville. The legal process has concluded and I'm starting to rebuild my life. After my last update, things moved quickly. Tyler was arrested 2 weeks after the police search. They charged him with multiple counts of drug distribution and money laundering. His bail was set at $250,000. His parents paid it and he's been living with them while awaiting trial. My formal statement and the screenshots I provided became important evidence in the case. The district attorney's office decided not to pursue charges against me after reviewing the evidence and my cooperation. Mr. Chin said I made the right choice coming forward when I did. The trial was scheduled for 6 months after his arrest, but Tyler ended up taking a plea deal about 3 weeks ago. He pleaded guilty to reduced charges in exchange for testifying against Dimitri and other members of the organization. He was sentenced to 3 years in prison with possibility of parole after 18 months. He also had to forfeit all the money in his accounts, about $120,000 total. I wasn't required to testify at the sentencing hearing, but I chose to attend. I wanted closure. Tyler saw me in the courtroom. He looked thinner, tired. He didn't look at me during the proceedings. After the judge announced the sentence, Tyler's mother approached me in the hallway. She said I'd destroyed her son's life, that I should have stood by him. I didn't respond. I just walked away. In the months since I left Charlotte, I've been rebuilding my life. I found a job at a law firm here in Asheville. It's smaller than my previous one, but the people are nice. I rented a 1-bedroom apartment about 20 minutes from Natalie. It's quiet and has a view of the mountains. I've been seeing a therapist, Dr. Rivera. She specializes in trauma and relationship issues. We've been working through the guilt I feel about turning Tyler in. She says I made the only choice that protected me legally and emotionally. She's right. I know that intellectually, but emotionally it's still difficult. I loved Tyler, or at least I loved the person I thought he was. The person he actually was, the one capable of those choices. I don't think I ever really knew him. I've started dating again, nothing serious, just coffee or dinner with a few people I met through dating apps. It feels strange to be starting over at 26, but also liberating. Natalie and her family have been incredibly supportive. Her kids don't understand exactly what happened, but they know Aunt Claire is staying with them for a while. I moved into my own place about 2 months ago. It was emotional leaving their guest room, but also an important step forward. Financially, I'm stable. My new job pays about the same as my old one. The cost of living is lower here. I've been saving money, building back what I spent on legal fees and moving costs. I heard through mutual friends that Tyler started his sentence about a month ago. He's at a minimum security facility about 2 hours from here. I haven't visited him and I don't plan to. Sometimes I think about what might have happened if I'd stayed, if I'd believed his promises to change. I could be facing charges alongside him. I could be losing my career, my freedom. Instead, I'm sitting in my quiet apartment writing this. I have a job I like, a family that supports me, a future that's mine to build. The guilt still surfaces sometimes late at night, the what if still whisper in my mind. But each day it gets a little easier, the weight feels a little lighter. I'm learning to forgive myself for loving someone who didn't exist, for trusting someone who betrayed that trust. I'm learning that protecting yourself isn't selfish, it's necessary. I don't know what the future holds, but for the first time in months I feel like I can breathe. I'm moving forward, one day at a time.